In the thrilling Game 1 showdown between the Knicks and the Pacers, in a game that came down to a few controversial calls at the end of the game, the Pacers were still able to find success for most of the game because of the versatility and the way the Knicks were defending the Myles Turner pick and roll. In this film review, we're going to go over a bunch of these Myles Turner's pick and rolls with Halliburton, Nembhard, with TJ McConnell, and see how the Knicks defense allowed them to find success with Myles Turner, and also how the Knicks changed up their coverage as the game went on, but how they're clearly still experimenting. So for most of the game, and especially in the first half, the Knicks were playing a pretty aggressive coverage. Myles Turner would come up to set pretty high ball screens, and the Knicks are virtually always going to double. Watch how in this example, Isaiah Hartenstein and Jalen Brunson both immediately doubled the ball handler. Here we're doubling Nembhard. Nembhard's not nearly as threatening of a shooter as Halliburton, yet they still double him, and this pocket pass becomes a bit too easy, which enables Myles Turner to roll to the basket and get a relatively easy putback. This time it's Donte DiVincenzo and Isaiah Hartenstein guarding another pick and roll, this time with Halliburton and Myles Turner, an extremely high ball screen at the logo. Myles Turner set a few pretty good ball screens this game. Donte really wants to fight over so that he can try and prevent this pocket pass that Halliburton might want to make to Myles Turner on this roll, but he sets a good screen, and watch how far they chase him. Hartenstein and Donte DiVincenzo are so attached to Halliburton that they're basically going to run with him all the way on this little hook, all while leaving Myles Turner wide open. And the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau were really completely willing to do this for most of the game. And of course, in some of these situations, Myles Turner did burn them with 2 of his threes. Similar example in this situation, this time we're going to go a side ball screen. TJ McConnell's coming down. Myles Turner's going to set this back screen. And again, watch the coverage. The Knicks are completely attached to TJ McConnell. Hartenstein and Brunson are both entirely more concerned with whatever TJ McConnell's going to be able to find out of this attack on the side. I think the Knicks are just more interested in preventing easy dribble penetration for the Pacers. And again, they're leaving Myles Turner wide open at the arc. They're not concerned at all about this three-point shot. Here's another example. This time it's after halftime. Now, the Knicks don't really completely change their coverage at all this game. They throw a bunch of different looks at ball screens against Myles Turner, but this is one example of how maybe the Pacers were trying to exploit the Knicks doubling off these ball screens. Nembhard's going to come down off the arc, and as has been happening for the past few ball screens, the Knicks are going to send 2. But the Pacers also know that it's on Isaiah Hartenstein and the weak side defender to contain Myles Turner as he rolls. In this situation, however, the Pacers are going to set another ball screen right here to allow Tyrese Halliburton to actually come downhill, which puts a lot more responsibility, because now that you've sent this early double, you're not only dealing with Myles Turner, who's going to sit at the top, but you're also dealing with a downhill Tyrese Halliburton, which is much more difficult for Isaiah Hartenstein to cover and more difficult for this weak side low man, especially because you have Pascal Siakam sitting in the weak side corner. And of course, what happens is a wide open pass to Myles Turner. He misses the 3, but the Pacers have found a way to exploit the double team. In this example, we're going to have staggered screens on the side flowing into a dribble handoff. And again, we have the aggressive double team as we've been doing this entire game, but no one is able to make this recovery in time. Myles Turner is able to slip into this open space, and again, it's on OG to help as the low man, and he's not quite able to get there in time. The Pacers were able to exploit this quite a bit in this game. Here's another example deeper into the third. Again, the Knicks sent an early double, and Myles Turner is basically rolling into an Isaiah Hartenstein, who's forced to try and recover to stop this. But Myles Turner is big, he's strong, he's pretty fast for his size, And I think that makes it difficult for Isaiah Hartenstein in a lot of these situations to properly recover, even though he whiffs the dunk. As the game continued, Indiana exploited the fact that the Knicks were willing to give up some switches with Jalen Brunson onto Myles Turner. In this possession, high ball screen, Nembhard, Myles Turner. Myles Turner is going to roll to the basket. Nembhard's going to stop a bit early on his drive, but he recognizes the mismatch here. Brunson's obviously much smaller than Myles Turner, and because of that, is able to deliver this pass. Even though Brunson gets the block, Indiana recognizes this mismatch, and they're going to exploit it again in this possession, where we have another high ball screen, Nembhard, Myles Turner, and again, Jalen Brunson is matched up onto Myles Turner. Huge mismatch, and there's not any real help that can come from Dante DiVincenzo or Josh Hart that can effectively prevent this. And of course, it's another easy bucket for the Pacers in the Myles Turner ball screen actions. In this example, we're going to show another switch, this time Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein. They both pay attention to Nembhard on this drive, but you can see that Isaiah Hartenstein is more tasked with containing Nembhard, and Josh Hart is trying to prevent Myles Turner from getting this inside position. While if he succeeds, Nembhard is able to get enough space from Hartenstein to sink this mid-range shot. In the final play of the game, perhaps fitting with how this game has been going, the Pacers are going to resort to another high ball screen. They're only down one, there's a lot of time left, and in this type of situation, I think a lot of teams, including the Knicks, are willing to test their defensive mettle, especially with a lead. It looks like the Pacers are trying to go to one of two different options. The first one being that Tyrese Halliburton can come off this ball screen, and presumably the Knicks will either allow this switch to happen so that Tyrese can isolate 13 seconds left onto Isaiah Hartenstein, or if the Knicks send this double, as they've been doing all game, you have Myles Turner who can roll, and then it's on OG Anunoby as the weak side wellman, or any help from Josh Hart, or really anyone in the interior to prevent Myles Turner from getting a wide open bucket. Obviously, if he succeeds in this role, there's also a bunch of kickout options that could come from Myles Turner. But of course, what happens is a moving screen, and then that's game. So in this game, even though the Knicks were able to come out with the victory, the Indiana Pacers still found quite a bit of success in the way that the Knicks were defending Myles Turner ball screen actions. I think that Myles Turner's versatility and his ability as a stretch five and a pretty aggressive and hard to stop physical rim attacker gives the Knicks a pretty tough time, especially when Isaiah Hartenstein has to read several options every time off these rolls, and especially when if the Pacers are going to try and involve Jalen Brunson in these actions, it's really tough for the Knicks to give up easy switches because often he's going to get barbecued either by Myles Turner or in some cases by a talented guard like Tyrese Halliburton. But let's see what happens in game two.